Good morning and welcome to another week. I'm excited to be able to share kind of starting to wrap up the unit and kind of getting the end of that. As you can see, this unit video is going to be on scale drawings. And I kind of put the phrase starting to put it all together. So we're going to kind of learn what we've been, apply what we've been learning throughout this unit and kind of starting to put the puzzle pieces together. And I'm excited for that. And I'm just excited for you guys to be able to kind of put what you've been thinking and kind of put it into practice. So again, like every week, we have a learning target. Our learning target for this week is simply, I can identify and explain scale drawings of actual objects and places. So again, by the end of this video, my goal is for you to be able to answer that question with some confidence and some clarity. So again, hopefully at the end of this video, you can be able to answer that and say that I was able to identify and explain this idea of scale drawings. So just like we do all the time, if you go to the checkpoint, click on the title and open that lesson plan that you've been working on the past couple of weeks now, in the engage section, I put a link to these two photos. So you can kind of use that or take this time to kind of fill this in. I want you to look at these two different pictures, top and bottom, and just give me two notices and one wonder. So two things you might notice about it, maybe prior knowledge or something you've learned, or just something you just, by looking at it, notice, and whatever comes to mind, put it down. And then one wonder, kind of a question maybe that you have about this, and hopefully by the end of this unit, that question can be answered. So take a moment, pause the video, and write down two notices and one wonder in that engage section. So hopefully you're able to kind of write some things down, and I wish we could be able to share them, but one thing I noticed in this picture is that the top picture seems to be a little bit more detailed in an actual representation of the object in real life. So a school bus looks like that picture, a quarter looks like that picture, and a map the same thing. But if you look at the bottom, they just seem to be a little disoriented and maybe not the best choice to represent something. So we might say the top picture is a scale drawing, an actual representation of what's being displayed in the real world. So again, hopefully you can see that the importance of detail and actual representation is a big part to the scale drawing idea. So again, what do I already know? Well, throughout this unit, you've learned a couple different things. To the left here, you've learned about scale copy and how that even though an object gets bigger or smaller, as long as it keeps its shape, it's the same object. And how we identify that is if every side is increasing by its scale factor, right? Every side has to increase by the same number of blocks or number, usually multiplied. And if so, then that object is a scale copy. It can't change its overall shape or orientation. It's got to be the same. But again, to the right, the shape can be flipped around, right? It can be rotated, it can be reflected, as long as the shape again stays the same. And we call this idea corresponding sides or even angles, where if you notice in that picture, the different colors are the sides to those two objects and they're the same. All right, so again, it keeps its same shape and same everything, and we identify that as a true scale copy. So again, this stuff you've already learned through this unit, and now we're going to get a chance to apply it. So let's imagine this. You're building a bridge, right? Here's a bridge. You want to build a bridge, and you want to do what you can successfully. You want to be as detailed as possible. You want to get the right measurements and everything like this. So imagine if I told you to draw this bridge. Right? Draw the actual bridge the way it is. Well, I mean, maybe this bridge is like 500 feet. And a piece of paper, maybe it's like 12 inches, a foot, barely a foot. Imagine if I told you to draw this bridge on a piece of paper the way it is now. That'd be a lot of paper, right? You're talking like a lot of sheets of paper taped together to successfully draw this bridge on that paper. Imagine if we had to do that. Well, the beauty part is that we don't have to, right? This idea of a scale drawing allows us to take that bridge, put it on a piece of paper, even though it's smaller, but we can represent what it's going to look like. And that's just awesome to be able to do. And if you notice in this picture, here is a scale drawing of a bridge, right? It's not maybe the same bridge in the picture, but we don't have to tape all those papers together that are a mile long to draw a bridge. We can do it on a piece of paper. And we can do it successfully and very detailed. And the idea behind this is this word scale, which we it's been a lot of words that we've discussed, scale, right? So if you look to the right there, 1 inch to 100 feet is a scale, right? An inch on the paper represents 100 feet in real life. And we can use this to successfully draw a bridge and be able to build it because of our drawing on a piece of paper, because of this idea of a scale. Now, we can also represent it as a ratio, 1:100. So again, 1 is an inch and 100 is feet. And then a couple of notes there. First number is always the scale drawing. That's usually when we do a scale like this. And the second number is the real life number, like what it's going to be like in the real world, or actually when you build it. And then we can solve this using a proportion. Now, we're not going to get into details about proportions because that's actually your next unit, which is coming up fast. And we'll talk more in detail about that. But we're going to use this idea of proportion to be able to possibly solve or find what the actual length will be, or maybe what the scale drawing length will be based on the information that we're given. So again, useful stuff here, right? Scale drawing helps us to draw things and be able to build them in real life. And we use this all the time. I mean, just look around you. The things that are built came from a drawing, from somebody that took the measurements from the drawing and put it into practice. So kind of two options here. Let me get my drawing pen here. We have proportions. So we'll kind of use what we talked about over there, and we're going to use it in different ways here. But a proportion is basically two fractions that have a relationship. They equal each other, right? So when something equals, we say it has a relationship, and we can use that idea to solve for a missing length. So if my proportion, again, 1/100 is another way to write a ratio just like this, we can say that equals a second fraction here. We can say, okay, so if I have 6 inches on my paper, question mark, or maybe variable, what's that bottom length? What's the actual length going to be? So an idea of a proportion, if you learned it in the past, is that we cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply the 1 to the x and the 6 to the 100, called cross multiplication. So when I do that, 6 times 100 is 600, 1 times x is just x. This one's a little simpler because I don't need to divide or anything. Right there it is, x equals 600 feet. So 6 inches on a paper represents 600 feet in real life. A scale copy way is what we've sort of been doing throughout this unit, is if I see that 1 inch is to 100 and I have 6 inches, how am I getting from 1 to 6? Well, I'm multiplying by 6 to get from 1 to 6. So I could use that same concept over here to get 600. So there's two different ways to do this. The scale copy, we've been learning this way throughout our entire unit with different objects and figures on graphs, but the proportion side might come in handy if you're given larger numbers and need to find it that way. So there's two options here you can use, and hopefully you can use one. But again, this is an idea of how to find maybe a length in real life, or if we do, how can I translate that onto my scale drawing as well. Get my mouse here. Okay, and in real world, we've talked about it, maps, right? Interactivity for this video, you're actually going to work with a map that I gave you, and you're going to find a location based off of the map and using the scale that it provides. But we use maps in real worlds even before your phone was invented, right? When I was younger, we had to use maps to find places, to locations, for vacations, and we had to use the scale, right? An inch on a map represents a mile in real life, or 2 miles. And we had to map it out how long it would take us, how many miles. We didn't have the luxury sometimes of our phones or even MapQuest. So people back in the old days had to use maps, right? And we still have maps. Your Google map on your phone is an advanced way of a scale drawing, right? It's not how the road looks. It's bigger, but your phone kind of gives a scale drawing of maybe how far it's going to be, or what it actually will look like when you get there, or while you're traveling. So again, real life maps. So like we've been doing, you're going to be working through your unit or through this lesson plan. Again, we have the explain section, and I didn't have the explore because we've done explore before. It's just getting through some additional resources and things like that. Explain, there's a Padlet for you again. Evaluate is again a checkpoint, getting to the bottom of this unit, finishing it up here. And then elaborate, again, is kind of a fun activity I came up with. Just imagine yourself without your phone and you had a map. All right, what's the quickest route to get to a hospital? So you're in a street, and it's actually a map of Altoona that I took a snapshot of on MapQuest, and you're actually going to find the quickest route to a hospital. If you had to get there and your phone wasn't working or you didn't have one, how would you do it? So you're actually going to use the scale on that to find the quickest route. When you're done, if you want to copy and paste or cut that link and link it to this right here in this section for me, and I'll be able to view that if you can. Or again, you can share it with me. Either way. And then express, reflect on this. How do you feel about this piece of work? What parts did you like? Why and why not? So kind of give some feedback for me, some things I can work on as well. And then to finish up, reminders, important stuff, guys, coming up. Work through the checkpoints. You should be halfway, if not to the bottom of these checkpoints by now, and continuing getting feedback from me. And then setting those goals as well. When you get on your week page, you can see what's next. What do I need to work on? So you're not sitting there saying, I don't know what to do. All right. Kind of give yourself some guidance throughout the week. And due date. So checkpoints, here we go. 11th is Friday, guys. I cannot believe we're done with our first unit. So please be looking through that, looking through your checkpoints, start working on your portfolio problems. And we also got the end of the unit assessment coming up. And you can ask help at any point this week. Hangout, email, or even Zoom to get with me, and we'll figure things out. So keep that in mind. Keep working hard. Have a great week, and I know I'll talk to you guys soon.